Hello everyone, welcome to a video about the 3 things I wish I knew before I lost my career. A lot of athletes will be able to resonate with this, but if you're not an athlete, you can definitely resonate with this. And also, if you're coming on the brink of the end of your career, be that maybe within the army or a certain business or literally anything, I know firsthand how difficult that can be, okay? Just for a little bit of context, I don't want to get too into it, but I was a professional ballerina. I'm Australian. I left home when I was 13 to represent Australia. I trained at the Australian Ballet School. I lived in Sydney for a year. Ended up living internationally in Germany at the best ballet school in the world. Was on the brink of my career, on the brink of achieving everything I wanted, everything I had literally ever dreamt of. I can get into that in another video if you guys want. Comment below if you want to know like my full story there. And yeah, was sponsored by Porsche and living it up, and then it all came crashing down due to some unsuccessful ankle surgeries. In fact, I'm like leaning all of my weight on my good foot right now. Nonetheless though, and I never thought I would say this, losing my career was actually one of the best things that ever happened to me. And unbeknownst to me, it gave me even more purpose. I know that sounds crazy to someone who may have just lost their career or is on the brink of retiring or changing careers or feeling really lost, like I know, because I never would have thought those words would have came out of my mouth. But, you know, I really do mean what I just said. And looking back, there are definitely some things that I wish I would have known before I lost that career to kind of prepare myself a little bit better, and also just help with my mental well-being and perspective, because, you know, for honestly the past 5 years since losing that career, it's been really, well, extremely difficult. Moving on to the top 3 things that I wish my younger self knew and that I know will help anyone who has just lost their career or on the brink of changing careers and whatnot, whether you're an athlete or not. Number 1 is feeling lost is normal because you tied your identity to your career. For the longest time, I thought my worth, but also my sense of self was literally tied to what I did. Like I wasn't just a ballerina, like I was a ballerina. Like that was everything I was, my personality, like literally everything. And for athletes, particularly, you know, when you're in that environment, you're surrounded by everyone else who thinks the same, right? Losing your career feels like you've lost yourself. I remember waking up every day, having absolutely no clue who I was. It was an extreme loss of identity, but it's also very common, okay? So understanding that it's really normal to feel very lost, especially if you held your identity to your career. Now, what I wish I knew and what I want to share with you guys is I really wish that what you do is not who you are. And what you do isn't everything that you are. And I wish I could have created that separation as an athlete, because it would have made the transition into normal society and the loss of that career and all the things that came with it so much easier on myself, not only mentally, but physically as well. So the key here is to seriously separate what you do from who you are, which we're going to get more into in a second. But I can reassure you that there is so much more to you than just what you do for a job or for a living. There is so much more to you, and it's so hard to understand that, or even, you know, come to these realizations and these like other hobbies and things that you love and things that you enjoy and things that you're passionate about and all these other things. It's so hard to find that when you are in the mindset that what you do is who you are, which is completely not true, okay? It might be a part of you at this point in time if you are living that career, or you've just, you know, finished it and you're going through that shift in identity or loss of identity, yes. But it's really important to separate who you are from what you do. From my own personal experience, you know, I lost my career when I was still young, but, you know, I had done it for over a decade, okay? And so the issue there, and this is the thing with a lot of athletes as well, right? You usually start when you're quite young and you're in that environment from a very young age. And when you're a child, you know, or even a young adult, you're still so absorbent to your environment and the things that you do and the people you're surrounded by, okay, which does make it even more difficult. Nonetheless, like, I can definitely resonate with you. That's what I want to say. And secondly, if you're feeling like fearful or doubtful, or you're literally waking up not only not knowing who you are, but you also have absolutely no clue what to do, realize and accept that that is very normal if you held your identity to your career. But I can trust you and I can reassure you that there is a way out. And I really wish someone made this video for me 5 years ago, but it's okay, I'm making it for you. So stay with me and we will get to that. The way I started redefining who I was against my job was also in the acceptance that I no longer have that job. I no longer have that career. I no longer can do that choice of career, okay? And that is one of the stages of grieving, okay? Is acceptance. And one of the hardest things to overcome is also denial, okay? At first, I was in denial. At first, I literally told a story to myself that it was my choice to stop, even though it absolutely wasn't. And in fact, I had 4 surgeries on the right foot, which all worked. And then it was the ones on the left foot that didn't work. And if they did work, of course, I would have gone back to do what I did. But if you are in the state of denial, understand that you have to come to terms with it and you have to accept it in order to, you know, move on and create a new sense of identity. Well, not really create a new sense of identity. Dig into you and find who you are and separate who you are from what you do. A question that really helped me and that will really help you is simply, who am I outside of this job? If you have to write that down on a piece of paper or a notebook, like, go do it so that you can look at it day to day and hour by hour. Whenever you're feeling really at ease, look at it and read, who am I outside of this job? It is a question that starts to instigate the fact and confirm the acceptance that, okay, I really am not what I do for my job. My job is just part of what I did or what I do for a living. It's not my entire sense of identity. I'm looking at my notes right now. What also helped me in relation to that question is to also write down qualities, values, and passions that have absolutely nothing to do with your work. One of the things that really helped me was like, okay, what are my new values? Because my old value was literally ballet, strength, confidence, flexibility, like everything to do with ballet, okay? So when I started to write down my new values, I realized, oh, these are values that I do value, but they didn't come to surface till I like wrote them down, okay? For example, a value might be friendships, or a value might be, for me, it was like getting into the gym and building more muscle now that I didn't have to look like a ballerina. Like, I started to create these new values. Passions is another one. And it is one of the hardest things, because when you are so passionate about your career and you love it and you adore it as much as you could love a person, it's so hard to think that you could have other passions, which is why, again, is my first tip is the fact that you need to learn to separate who you are from what you do. It is a process, but once you do so, you can really start to look out into the world and be like, well, what else am I passionate about? Maybe ask yourself something that you used to enjoy doing when you were a young kid. Like for me, I was like, well, I'm actually really passionate about the ocean. I love swimming in the ocean. I haven't been able to do that since I've lived in cities for all of this ballet stuff. Like, I was living in Germany in the freezing cold and in the snow. And I was like, you know what? Something I'm really passionate about is the ocean. So I started spending more time in the water and in the ocean. And it really helped with my mental well-being, but I also realized, okay, that's something I'm passionate about. What else am I passionate about? And, you know, I also had a lot of time up my sleeve initially. So I was like, you know what, I'm really passionate about books. When was the last time I read a book that I like genuinely liked, that is a story? I know it sounds cliche, it's like very basic level things. But when you are an athlete or you do hold your entire identity to your career, it's hard to think that you have any passions outside of that one thing. But I can guarantee you, you do. And it starts again with the acceptance to separate who you are from what you do. This is probably one of the hardest videos I have to make because it's been such a journey for me. But it's going to be incredibly helpful. And I know it's already been helpful for so many, because, you know, if I could have had this information, it really would have made the world of a difference. So I'm very passionate about it. So if you notice a change in my tonality, or that I speak a little bit louder in this video compared to other videos, it's because it's been one of the most difficult yet purposeful things that I've actually gone through. And as I said in the beginning, losing my career really was one of the best things that ever happened to me, even though it felt like one of the most traumatic, terrible things that could ever happen to me. So number 2 is you don't find your purpose by chasing external things, okay? When I lost my career, I was looking at all of these external things. And people who previously held an identity to their career, they think, okay, when I find a new career, that's who I am. Okay? I was a perfect culprit of this. I would like morph myself just so that I felt like, okay, I found my identity now. Inside, I didn't feel healed. I still felt broken, and I was still waking up every single day having no clue who I am, nonetheless what I was even doing with what I was doing. For example, biomedical science, university student. Okay, I'm a university student who's going to be a doctor. Woke up every day telling myself that, still feeling deep down in my gut that it didn't align, and that I still had no clue what I was. It was like this external morphization, even though that isn't a word, but basically I was morphing myself into the identity of a uni student who studied this and was a doctor, okay? I also did it with bodybuilding, even though my foot got, you know, even worse from more surgeries and that kind of, had more surgeries over the years, so their journey got interrupted there. But you know, when I first started being like, okay, maybe I'm going to be a bodybuilder, I started to try and morph myself into this external thing, bodybuilding, biomedical science. I am also an online health and fitness coach at this point in time. But initially, I morphed my identity into that. Okay, I'm an online health and fitness coach. Like, that is who I am. That is what I do. And people who held their entire identity to their career previously, all they want is a sense of identity. But I can tell you right now, trying to morph yourself into like a new identity based on some external thing is just going to make you feel more lost and more confused. And most likely you, if you just lost your career, you're most likely trying to hustle or find a new job and like fill in the gap, because the pain is so deep as well. I get it. But I can assure you that you're not going to find it external, and you're going to find it internally. You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to go and actually technically do anything in terms of a new career straight away. You need to actually go inwards. The other issue is that society in general tells us that by doing more, that is our purpose, okay? Our purpose is to do more and more and more stuff and more things and work more hours and et cetera, et cetera. When the truth is that the real transformation and the shift in identity and that process to start healing yourself, it happens when you look inward, not outward. Inward, not outward. My goodness, do I wish I knew that a long time ago. So instead of jumping to the next thing out of fear, that was literally what I was doing for 5 years, jumping to this and that out of fear, but nothing actually fitted right, nothing aligned, and therefore I felt more and more lost and more anxious because more and more time went on of me waking up every day, not knowing who I was. Take time to reflect on what truly matters. 5 years ago, what would have truly mattered was me going inwards instead of outwards. Another question, what kind of impact do you want to have? Instead of focusing on the impact that others are telling you should make, ask yourself, hang on a sec, what kind of impact do I want to have? That was one of the most leading questions that I've ever asked myself that has actually gotten me to the point of creating these different kind of videos on YouTube in the first place. Some people say you should still work in the career of passion that you love. I don't think you should listen to anyone. I think you should listen to yourself. If you have this sense of I still want to work in that world, you can ask yourself, what parts of my career did I love? Or what parts of my career didn't I love? What parts of my career didn't I like? And sometimes those simple, stimulating questions can help you think from within rather than observe from outwards, the outside, what everyone else is saying or encouraging you to do. Another thing that happens during this time, because you're in this state of fear and anxiety, extreme loss, maybe even like a depression or depressive symptoms, is that you're thinking so much that you're overthinking. And I made a video about overthinking. I'll tag it at the end of this video if you want to watch it, if you think you're an overthinker. But basically, because of the sense of anxiety that you're in, I have to find it, I don't know who I am, and you just feel so terrible, is that you can be a bit of a culprit to your own mind rather than listening to your heart and listening to your gut, okay? Many people find it hard to listen to their heart and listen to their gut because their mind is overactive and it's overthinking all of these things. So in that case, don't be afraid to slow down. Athletes or anyone who took their career really seriously, I highly accept, and it's very, very probable that you did a lot. You're always doing something. There wasn't much time left for you to sit down with your thoughts. You're always doing something, right? And then all of a sudden you lose the career and you're not as busy. You're not anywhere near as busy. Plus you don't have the distraction of the passion and love that you just want to immerse yourself into because you love that career so much. And so you sit there overthinking, which doesn't help. And in order to find what you're begging for, and what I was begging for, was clarity. Who am I? The clarity of that. And the clarity of what should I do? And I always wanted to do something that aligned with me because, likely yourself as well, if you're still watching this, your career really aligned with you. Your athleticism really aligned with you. So it makes you feel sick to the bottom of your stomach doing some 9-to-5 job that doesn't align with you. Or being this university student, studying this thing that doesn't align with you. It literally makes you sick. And you know what? If you can resonate with that, you are so blessed to know what the feeling is to love what you do with your whole heart and your whole body, your whole mind, your whole soul. It's as though you love a person, right? You are so lucky and so blessed to know what that feels like because so many people have no clue what it actually means, let alone what it actually feels like to love and adore what they do for a career or for a living. So that is a feeling that you are very blessed for. And just know that since you know what that feeling is, you don't need to worry about finding something that aligns with you or knowing if it aligns with you, like questioning whether it aligns with you, because you won't question when it aligns with you. When it aligns with you, you will get that same feeling, and it's an undoubtable feeling. You can't question it because it truly does align with you. So that's another little pointer I wanted to make. So as I said, and this is the second point, you're not going to find the answers and your new identity or your new purpose in these external things, and you have to go inwards instead, which means not being afraid to slow down. And in fact, just like the overthinking video, slowing down is where you find the clarity, because it's when we slow down that we can be truly present, and it's in the presence that we find clarity. For some, that's journaling. For some, that's traveling without the pressure of making money or working. Like, give yourself the time to slow down. Most likely in your career, you didn't ever slow down either. For me, myself, the biggest thing that helped me was slowing down through meditation, because that's the way you can pierce your conscious mind and tap into your subconscious mind instead. Now, my last point is that there is so much more to you than what you do. So much more to you than what you do. The biggest lesson that I ever learned is that your career is literally just a fraction of what makes you so incredibly valuable. So incredibly valuable to people, so incredibly valuable to the world. Your career is a fraction of how much value you have for people and the world. Literally just a fraction. We do live in a world that glorifies work, and there's also this necessity to make money, okay? Because that's the kind of world we live in. But who you are matters so much more than what you do. I know that sounds cliche, but it's actually true. Who you are matters so much more than what you do. There is, like, I literally think about people who make, extreme entrepreneurs that are so out of line in what they're doing. Don't get me wrong, there's some entrepreneurs who make a whole lot of money, right? That are very aligned with what they do. But, more so, there's so many entrepreneurs who make so much money, but are not in term with, morals. They don't really know who they are because they're so distracted with, making money. Think of those like cheesy, salesy people, right? It's like, how are you okay with like using reverse psychology on someone to like get them to give you thousands of dollars or whatever it is? Like, who you are matters so much more than what you do. And I always think about those people who like are totally okay living like that. Maybe they're not totally okay living like that, and it makes them feel sick. Or like deep down they're like, I feel like I'm not my most authentic self. I feel like I'm not truly in line with oneself. So I know we live in a world that glorifies work, but trust me, you are so much more than what you do. And when you actually tap inwards again to who you are so much more likely to find what you should do. Secondly, your passions, your desires, your relationships with people, and your personal growth as well. All these things define you so much more than your actual job. I know you can experience a lot throughout your job. I experienced so much that I'm grateful throughout my career. And I made lots of relationships with other ballerinas throughout my career and coaches, etc. But what really defines you, again, as I just said, were the experiences, were the people. It wasn't actually the career itself, right? All these things define you so much more than just the career, like the stamp label, actress, musician, volleyballer, whatever. Don't know why I thought of volleyball then, but yeah, you get what I'm saying, okay? Now listen to this one, because I wish I knew this one. I really do wish I knew this one 5 years ago. When you detach your self-worth from your career, you find freedom. When you detach your self-worth from your career, you find freedom. One of the pieces of advice that I would go back and give myself if, somehow my past self could talk to my future self, it would simply be to invest in my personal life, relationships, hobbies, health, joy. Invest inwards rather than outwards. Slow down to find the clarity. Accept that maybe you held your identity to your career and not feel like you have to go from one thing to another to feel successful. So many people who are these athletes or they live these incredible careers and all of a sudden they retire or they lose it to an injury or something in life happens where they can no longer do that career. They think, oh no, I have to be successful. I have to figure out what's plan B. And the most terrible thing is, and trust me, I get it, most likely there wasn't a plan B because you put everything you could into plan A, and because you put everything into it and sacrificed everything into plan A, there was no doubt that it wasn't going to work out, right? But sometimes things happen. You don't have to be successful within 1 month or 1 week or 1 day or 1 year so that you feel, oh, I know my identity, I know who I am, because I can tell you right now that it actually isn't. It isn't going to make you feel like you have your identity. It's going to be this external sense of pressure that deep down in your gut doesn't align, that makes you feel sick, to the point of I was experiencing severe anxiety every single day. And again, as I said, you are so blessed to know the feeling of loving what you do as though you love a person. So blessed to find that feeling. So take the time to slow down. Take the time to invest in yourself, your health, your relationships, your hobbies, your life, your sense of joy. Take the time to do all that so you can go inwards, so that you can find your new purpose, so that you can define a new identity, so that you can separate your previous career from your worth, so that you can feel free. I know myself, all I wanted to feel was feel free, get rid of this sickening anxiety, and wake up and know who I was, and wake up doing something that aligned with me. And my goodness, I would have gotten there a lot quicker if I had found a video like this 5 years ago. But unfortunately, identity crises, they're not really talked about much, right? So with that being said, if you have recently lost your career or you're on the verge of retiring or something traumatic or drastic happened that caused you to lose a career that you loved and adored, I want to reassure you, and this is not BS, I really do genuinely want to reassure you that it is not the end, and it truly is the beginning of a new chapter. I know that sounds cliche, but it's actually genuinely true. And there's also the possibility that when you find your new purpose and you find this new sense of identity and you go inwards in order to do that, that it will completely shock you that you actually have this new sense of purpose that feels even more purposeful and even more valuable than what you were doing previously. If I told myself this 5 years ago, I would have shook my head and be like, nah, there's no way. But 5 years later, I am telling you that, and I am telling my younger self that, because that's exactly what I experienced. And I know I'm not the only one to be capable enough to experience that, but in order to experience that, you need to, run down the list of kind of things that I encourage you to do and the advice that I gave, because without having that advice and experiencing that myself, I would not be turning on the YouTube camera today. I can guarantee you that. So if this did resonate with you, whether you're an athlete or not, you simply just held your sense of identity to your career, I'd really love to hear from you. Comment in the section below. I know so many people out there go through this, and you know, selfishly, it does make me feel really good to create a video like this because I know it's just going to be so helpful, and I'd love to connect with people who, you know, are struggling, because I wish someone could have kind of like helped me throughout this process, and you know, got into this sense of peace with oneself a lot quicker. If you want more content on reinvention, purpose, identity, etc., then definitely drop me a follow and click the subscribe button, because there's always new videos coming out. Again, you are more than what you do, and it is time to start living like that. That's it for today, guys. You are more than welcome to share this video with anyone else that, you know, maybe just lost their career, or you know is struggling at the moment with a sense of identity or a loss of purpose, or, you know, conflicting interests, and you know, they're overthinking their career, etc. It would definitely help them out. I know that. So feel free to do that one, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.